In tonight's episode, Melissa says
I can't afford to completely f*** it up.
And she gets far too excited about
£5.
And Jack says
I'm trying not to faint.
In this episode, you're going to see me make some mistakes. I guarantee. And I am going to be kind to myself. And I'm going to allow myself to make 3 mistakes. I'm going to do the biggest sewing project that I've ever done, or at least attempt it. And I'm going to make a cockpit enclosure for this outdoor space. Over the last couple of nights, I have been working on a sewing project, which is this. Here's Ollie's new bed. What do you think, Ollie?
Pillow.
You want a pillow? So that will keep Ollie nice and safe and secure.
and it's all soft and he can't roll out of bed when we're on passage and he can't climb out of bed by, you know, and if we're all asleep and go somewhere he shouldn't or what have
It's
you.
just like a travel cot.
It's
got
a travel cot.
lots of mesh in, and if we find, it should be fine, but if we find it gets too hot, I can put more mesh panels down there. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm sick.
You want
Ouch.
it zip open or closed?
I'm sick open and closed. Closed.
Unfortunately, when I made this is where I really beat myself up and got annoyed. I put the zip on the wrong side, and then I had to put this thing to cover my mistake. And I think it looks a bit pants, but it's functional.
I think it looks good.
And obviously it's not forever because he doesn't need a tent forever. You want to close it? Okay.
You want close and you want us to go out.
Okay. Night. Bye
You want
bye,
us to go
Ollie.
away. Yeah, bye then.
Bye.
Bye.
I made some big mistakes, really beat myself up about it. And the reason I did that project before doing this was to give myself some confidence, and it's actually knocked my confidence. But I need to be kinder to myself. So that's why I've decided to just accept the fact and allow the fact that I'm going to make 3 mistakes and hope that it turns out okay. And I can't afford to completely f*** it up because it's not the cheapest project. I've done it on a budget and I'll tell you how later on, but I've got to try my best not to make any more than 3 mistakes. That's enough of my waffle. The first step is to fit the bolt rope track to the hard top. So here's my bolt rope track. Here's my bolt rope track, and it's going to go on here and along here. I'm going to offer this track up, and then I'm going to mark where I want to screw through the track, and then it's going to be screwed and bonded in place. Go along here. So there's a little bit of gentle persuasion.
Great.
That's there, and then I'm going to mark this corner piece here.
Which is exactly where the corner is going to go.
Which is there.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go and sew and hope for the best. What am I doing with some bright orange fabric? I'm making some binding. We want to tie in the sacrificial strip on the head sail with the cockpit enclosure, but we don't want a bright orange cockpit enclosure. Well, that might be quite cool. So we're doing grey, which is the same as the stack packs, but I'm attempting to make some binding because you can't buy in the UK easily orange Sunbrella binding. So I've got some Sudura, so I'll put the name on the screen, but the Spanish version of Sunbrella, and I'm making my own. I have made the pelmet for the starboard side, which goes round the front. All will become clear when I test fit it in a minute, but I'm just placing my zips on for the windows curtains that are going to go attached to this pelmet. So basically this pelmet will permanently stay on the cockpit enclosure unless we need to leave the boat for any length of time, and then we'll take it off and pack it down. But yeah, just working out where the zips need to go. So I am just working out, I've got to attach the top pelmet to the side pelmet like I've done on the other side, but I didn't film that.
Yeah, we can.
Ollie!
What did you drop, Ollie? Ollie's just woken up from the nap.
I want yellow!
On yellow what? I need to attach the forward vertical pelmet to the top horizontal pelmet, but it's on a slight angle, so the bolt rope comes along and then it goes down the front of the leg like so. But so I've got a template of the angle, and then I just need to work out where I need to cut and then attach the two. Right, I've made my pelmet. We don't have much time because it's going dark, but I just want to make sure it fits. I've got my zips on for the windows that are going to go in, or the curtains, and this needs to go. I'm going to do it from the other side. So that goes to there. I haven't finished the bottom yet or decided how far I want to take it down until I've made the curtain, and then I'll do that. Now this is a bit fiddly, but it stays on once it's on.
Hang on.
So that's what it's like on the outside. We've got the pelmet here and here. So you've got a continuous bolt rope in this corner that goes all the way from the top all the way to the aft end. And just to feed it in, we've notched out the track horizontally and vertically so you can feed it in. So there will be a curtain that sits in here. Got some patterning material. You remember a while ago a lovely lady called Heidi lent me a Sailrite sewing machine, and she gave me some patterning material, which is like a clear tarp. Well, I don't hold it there, hold it here.
Just slice it there so you've got...
Well, if I tape it first, I don't think the basting tape will stick because it's... God, it's so cold. This tape's really good. Do you reckon about here? I'm cutting off more than I need.
To the zip itself.
So I'm just sticking this to the zip. But that's easier said than done.
So it's only 7:30, 7:45 at night.
Yeah, but it's just a really cloudy tonight.
Yeah, it's just dim, isn't it?
I'm going to need your help to take this off and unzip it.
Dark now, but this is the template which is now taped to the zip, and Melissa is now going to unzip the zip attached to the template and bring it inside so that she can make the actual thing.
In the middle of all this templating and everything, I still have general life to get on with, so unfortunately I've got to stop and hang the washing up. I've just opened the box of the bolt rope track and they didn't send me the correct amount, so I'm heading over to Moet Sales to go and buy a long length of track. That's definitely the handy thing about still being local. Though we've only moved to Weymouth, we know where everything is. We were desperate to get this cockpit enclosure at least half done. As long as I can get the sides done, before we leave here, but I'd like to get the whole thing done if possible. I've got a massive length of main sheet track, really helpful at Moet Sales, gave me lots of advice. Very jealous of their large floor space in there. I've got the orange fabric out. I've been trying to think of a way to incorporate the orange that we have on the head sail. First of all, I made, where is it? I made some binding, but it was just a bit too much to ask the sewing machine to go through, because this is 4 layers of thick canvas, and then it was sandwiching 1 or 2 layers, and then sometimes going over the material for the bolt rope as well. So the sewing machine just couldn't handle that, and that's fair. I mean, it goes through a lot. Andy's jumping in the dinghy to help someone from the shore because their ball has fallen in the water. This is my port side forward curtain, and I've decided that I'm going to put a strip of orange along the bottom. I've got to finish the end of that pelmet at the front, which I hadn't done because I didn't know the length or the curve that I was going to go with. And obviously there'll be another panel here, and then this will attach to however I do it. We've masked off what we think looks right. We've taken measurements, but a lot of it's got to be about what looks right. So we're just deciding whether that's the right amount of fabric to leave showing, and how much glass we should have.
When I made some of these, I made some of them red, pink, which shouldn't have been red really. Red is essential. We've got to do them before we can even sail, and we've been sailing the boat with some of these red things undone, and it's fine. Let's just quickly look at the red stuff. Finish the chart table woodwork. That's actually a longer project, and it's finished in the fact that it's finished, strong and functional. So I'm going to call it done. It's not finished in the sense that it's cosmetically perfect and varnished. As you can see, it needs some tarting up, but it's finished, strong and functional. Make the window frames, they're done. One is wooden and one is stainless. Melissa wants me to eventually make another wooden one, but that's done. Replace the seat hinge, not done that. Repair the broken seat. I'm going to do that now, this afternoon. In this corner of the cockpit, we have the cockpit seat with the broken hinge, which I need to source and replace. And the seat that I'm sitting on is broken. As you can see, the parts are fine, but they have come unglued. So I'm going to clean them all up, rebed them, and epoxy them in place and re-Sikaflex them. And the Sikaflex I'm going to use for this job is the 290D Pro, which I've got some left in this tube. It might have gone off. If it hasn't, I'll use it. And then I've got an unopened tube of 291I, either of which are fine for this job. It's teak slats on top of a plywood base inside the cockpit, which is bone dry and protected anyway. So it's not really a critical job, but I don't want those bits to break any further. Right, let's get on with it.
time for the scary bit of those two front curtains. I have got to cut a big hole in them and put the plasticky isinglass, whatever it's called, in. This here roll of plastic, which is the right stuff. It's from a sailmaker's. It's an offcut that has been taken to the scrap store, and I got it for £5. It looks like there's more than enough to do all the windows for the cockpit enclosure. £5. I mean, that's mental. So if there isn't enough, I can go back and hope that they've got some more. And what I'm really looking forward to is using up all this fabric so we're not having to store it, because it's currently taking up loads of space. I have my curtain, and I am just going to line these up, which I drew. I could see through the masking tape, and I've measured it all and checked that it's right. So I'm going to line these up, and then I'm going to add a border around the outside so the glass will be cut oversized. So I've stuck on the window with its edging, and then I need to sew it in place. I'm just hemming around this bit to make it look pretty. So if I peel that back, I've got the double-sided tape, so I can just stick it on. So I'm under a mountain of fabric, and I'm just sewing the edging onto the aft cockpit curtain. A huge piece of fabric. I could do with a bit more room to do it in.
Something that I've been meaning to sort out for a long time is our mast headlight, which is the Weems and Plath automatic one with the photodiode. It's a tricolour, so it's got red and green, port and starboard, and then white at the back for when you're sailing at night. And it's also then got a all-round white light for when you're anchoring, and it's a bit funky and clever. It's got a photodiode in there, so when it gets dark, that anchor light, when it gets dark, the anchor light comes on automatically. Now, it hasn't worked for a little while, and the reason I think is because there's a problem with the wiring at the top of the mast. So normally I would go up the mast, but today Jack is going up. We've got our amazing mast ladder system, which is a proper mast climbing thing. You haul it up and it goes into the sail track, so it's got sliders on it so it can't come away from the mast. Fab. And I will also be belaying Jack on the topping lift, so it's effectively just a climbing wall. I'm going to belay him off a winch. I could put on a harness and use a gree or a belay device, but there's just no need. I'll just belay him on this winch, and then if he also needs a bit of a hand up, I can crank on the winch and give him a bit of a boost if his arms start to get tired. In fact, we probably don't need the ladder. I could probably just winch Jack up, but it's funny. Black diamond harness on, which is fantastic. We've got a camera on the helmet, so pop that on. And here it is. This is the Weems and Plath photodiode OGM series USCG2NM, and it's a Super Fandango tricolour with an all-round white light, and it's got a strobe function, and it's got a photodiode, so it comes on automatically. Now this thing was sent to us by one of our lovely subscribers, by one of you guys from America, at great expense to them. It's a very expensive light. I'll put the price and stuff on the screen, and it's been installed as per the manufacturer's instructions, mounted on an aluminium plinth using the proper cable, and it is full of water. Look at that. It's actually got water inside it, and all the circuitry is rusty. Now I'm not saying a bad thing against Weems and Plath here. I haven't yet spoken to them to say, can you do something about this, because it's supposed to have a lifetime warranty. So I shall update you on that. Hopefully they'll be amazing about it, as I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll be amazing. In the meantime, I'm going to have to try and put something together, because I don't want to spend a lot of money on a new expensive one of these, or, you know, the NASA one, which is about 140 quid or something like that. It's supposed to be very good, but I'll put something together that we can use until, with any luck, Weems and Plath can resolve this issue for us, which I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. But that's very disappointing. We put it on the top of the boat 2 years ago, and for my money, it's really only done one season of sailing. And I would have thought for that you'd be annoyed if it went wrong after 10 years, never mind 2. Anyway, mild disappointment aside, that was a successful mission. We've retrieved the mast headlight, and we've discovered what the problem was with it. And also, for me, it means, great, Jack can go at the mast from now on, because I'm too old and heavy and fat to find I can do it, but I don't find it comfortable.
Progress update. I didn't film any of this aft curtain because it caused me a lot of head scratching, and it's not quite finished. I haven't got a window in it yet. However, we have.
Just to clarify, there will be a window here so that we can see the top of the mast and see the wind instrument when standing at the helm.
It's going to be fitted down underneath, and I've ordered some more of these. So I've put these tensioners on here, but I ran out. I've also joined these two together. So I've got a pelmet that goes all the way round. I now have a zip here ready for this section, and we need to fit a doobrey, by the way, a button for this elastic. So next step, fit that, then template this window. I'll show you from the outside. You hold it down a second, Andy. Yeah, so that's how it's looking so far. Obviously I need to put a window in the back that zips, and the main sheet track will go through, and loads of other doobries. But the next step for tonight is this window here. There probably won't be much of it on camera because you've already seen me making that window there, but might be a little bit. What am I doing? Rectifying mistake number 2. There's been some tiny issues, so probably much more than 2 mistakes, but nothing to write home about. But I made the side pelmet for the aft curtain, and as I was templating last night for the aft side curtain, I realised that the pelmet that goes along the top wasn't high enough. It didn't go up behind the pelmet, behind the other pelmet. Doesn't really make sense, but basically it would have left a hole, a gap in the corner of the canvas where rain could get in. So I've got to unpick this whole zip, which is about 2 meters, and add an extra piece of fabric which will be hidden by the pelmet, and I'll probably have to buy another zip because I've cut it to length. But for now I'm going to stitch it on, and the zip will just finish a bit shorter than I'd like, because I need to carry on with the cockpit enclosure and I can't wait for a new zip to arrive. That being said, I've been getting all my supplies from North Point Pro Fabrics, and they're amazing and they send stuff really quickly. So if you need any bits and bobs, I called in there to get a load of stuff on my way to Wales the other week, and it's not a shop, so you're not meant to call in, but they were still really accommodating and let me go in there, workshop and choose everything I wanted. So I said I'd give them a shout out because they were just really great and helpful. But yes, I'm picking a zip. As I'm sat here unpicking stitches, I was just sort of thinking about where we've come from, and the times that I was working on Still Melody and Andy was at work and I just finished work and we were both working full time, not seeing each other, going to Still Melody, grinding dirt and dust and rust and cutting ourselves and bleeding and getting absolutely filthy. And now I'm sat here on our boat together as a family, with all the time in the world to spend together. And although times might be tough from time to time, especially at the moment financially, we might be a little bit poor at the minute, but we're time rich and that's amazing. And we've just come such a long way, and obviously I appreciate we're on a different boat, but it's just lovely. The sun is out, the kids are playing in the aft cabin, kids plural because we only had one when we set out on this adventure, and it's just nice to reflect where you come from, and yeah, I'm just feeling quite happy and content making our cockpit enclosure and looking forward to more exciting adventures. So that's it for the episode because I've got to take Jack to A&E. He's fine. However, he was doing some whistling and he has sliced his finger open.
Nice. It's a proper one as well.
It's a proper one.
He's going to need stitches.
So he's been a super trooper, been up the mast.
Try not to faint.
I'm going to put some, actually, he is going to need stitches, which obviously I can't do here. So I'm going to put some steri strips on it and stop the bleeding and bandage him up.
We are kitted for...
I'm kitted for everything.
We're kitted to do it out at sea, but obviously we've got A&E locally, so... Yeah. Andy's just going to put a dressing on it and then I'm going to drive him to A&E and he's going to pack my sewing stuff away for the evening. He's fine, by the way, and he's happy for us to film. He just, if he cuts himself, he always goes very green. But then he's done it before where he's cut himself and I thought he had a fear of blood, but he hasn't.
There's only a small cut compared to this.
Well, yes, but because he actually then went and squeezed a load of blood out under the microscope, so it's not the blood that he's scared of, it's just the shock of cutting himself. Right, anyway, I'm gonna go. We're gonna look after
this on camera. It's too
graphic. Gonna take Jack to hospital, and thank you so much for watching. Next week you will see the completed cockpit enclosure, and for those of you wondering, we're still going on our £40 shop and we're on day 11. We have topped up with bread, milk, eggs, but apart from that, we're good.